Have you ever been lying awake at 3 a.m., opening your eyes in the quiet darkness, not understanding why you woke up? No noise, no strange sounds, no nightmares, no obvious uneasiness. You just wake up. A strange sense of alertness creeps in through the night. In that moment, you stare up at the ceiling, feeling as if time has stopped, and a question keeps repeating in your head. Is there something wrong with my body? The truth is, you're not alone. Many people over 60 report waking up around this time regularly. The point is, this is not a bad habit, nor is it simply a symptom of aging. Waking up at 3 a.m. is not some kind of abnormality that needs to be corrected with sleeping pills or force. It could be a gentle message from your body, a biological signal, or an emotion that is trying to speak to you. It's just that no one has ever explained it to you in a thoughtful and human way. In the first part of this journey, we don't start by blaming aging or a disrupted circadian rhythm. We start by listening to a phenomenon that happens to so many people, and that no one has ever explained as a natural part of life's transition. Because every time you wake up at 3 a.m., it may not be a nuisance, but a reminder to look a little deeper into yourself. The reason why you wake up at that hour, it turns out, is not simple. It's tied to subtle changes in hormones, your body clock, your physical health, and your emotion. And when you understand the whole picture behind this seemingly irrational phenomenon, you will no longer feel alone in the night, but instead feel more in control, calm, and self-possessed every time you wake up. So let's start this journey of deep discovery together. Because maybe, the next time you wake up at 3 a.m., you will see it with different eyes, not with fear or discomfort, but with understanding. And it is from that understanding that your sleep can begin to change in a more profound way than ever before. One of the most common and obvious reasons why many older adults wake up around 3 a.m. is the natural decline of an important hormone, melatonin. This is the so-called gatekeeper of sleep, responsible for getting your body into a deep state of rest and maintaining a steady sleep pattern throughout the night. When you're young, you produce melatonin in abundance and regularly. That's why sleeping through the night was so normal in your teens that it went unnoticed. But as you age, melatonin production begins to decline, silently and steadily. This change doesn't come with a bang. It comes as quietly as the slow, late-day drowsiness. Your body no longer produces enough melatonin to keep you asleep until dawn. Instead, around 2 or 3 a.m., hormone levels start to run low, and you wake up not because of a noise or a dream, but because your own biology is pushing your body out of sleep. What's more, sensitivity to light also increases with age. Even a small beam of light from a street lamp shining through a curtain, a tiny dot of light from an electronic clock, or light coming through a crack in the bathroom door can be enough to suppress melatonin, disrupting its production. Once innocent environmental factors now become distractions, causing your body to misinterpret the signal. It's morning, wake up. Take the case of Mr. Hoa, a 72-year-old former engineer who prided himself on his ability to sleep well. He recently found himself waking up at 3 a.m. on a regular basis. At first, he was confused and wondered if something was wrong. But after some research, he realized that this was a common phenomenon due to a decrease in melatonin. He started making a few small changes, turning off all electronic devices an hour before bed, using a soft red nightlight instead of a cold white light, and adding a light walk after dinner. These seemingly simple things sent a clear signal to the body. It's nighttime, and you're allowed to get some deep rest. The important thing is not to cure waking up, but to understand why it happens. When you know that your body is gradually changing over time, not for the worse, but as a natural transition, you will blame less, stress less, and start to be gentler with yourself. Instead of thinking that your body is betraying you, think of it as a signal that things are different, and you need to adjust a little to go with it. That's the key to not only sleeping better, but also living in more harmony with your changing internal biorhythm. Waking up at 3 a.m. isn't always a problem. Sometimes you're simply waking up at a time that your body thinks is appropriate. And the underlying cause comes from a natural phenomenon that many people don't notice: the shift in circadian rhythms, also known as the advanced sleep phase. When you're young, your body clock is programmed for later activities in the day. You can stay up until 11 p.m., sleep until 7 a.m. without feeling tired. But as you age, your internal clock starts to shift forward. Your body feels sleepy earlier, maybe 8 p.m., 9 p.m., and accordingly, the end of sleep comes earlier. So waking up at 3 a.m. is sometimes not waking up in the middle, but rather you've completed your sleep cycle. This is even more evident when you retire or enter a period of life where you are less bound by alarm clocks, jobs, or fixed schedules. Your body no longer receives strong external signals to regulate its biological rhythm as it did before. There is no need to get up for work, no meetings, no regular get-togethers. The time markers that used to help maintain rhythm are no longer there. Instead, the quiet and monotony of your daily routine causes your internal biological clock to adjust itself in a very specific direction, towards early. Imagine Uncle Min, 68, living alone after retirement. He has dinner at 5 p.m., watches TV for about an hour, and goes to bed at 8. At first, he feels very disciplined and healthy. But soon, he starts waking up at 3 a.m., fully awake, not sleepy. He thinks he has insomnia and tries many ways to get back to sleep, but all are ineffective. Until he realized he had actually been sleeping for more than 6 hours. The amount of sleep his body thought was enough. What he needed wasn't more sleeping pills. What he needed was to delay the onset of sleep. Min started reading in the evening under a warm yellow light, talking to his daughter on the phone before bed, and even adding a short walk around 7. These small changes not only slowed down his circadian rhythm, but also sent a clear signal to his brain. It's not time to turn off the lights yet. Understanding the shift in your body clock helps you get rid of one of the most overwhelming feelings that older adults often have. The feeling that something is wrong with my body. No, nothing is wrong. Your body is still working. It's just operating on a new rhythm, a different schedule than it was used to. And when you learn to adjust your life to fit your new circadian rhythm, you will not only sleep better but also feel more in control of your own time. Sometimes what makes you tired is not that you wake up too early, but that you don't understand why you wake up. And understanding the reason, that is the first step to restoring peace in every morning when you wake up. Not all 3 a.m. wake-ups are due to hormones or circadian rhythms. There's another, more practical, more mundane, and often overlooked cause: the biological signals from your own body. Subtle but powerful enough to jolt you out of sleep. As we age, we come with physical changes that many people accept as part of the natural process of aging. But few realize that they can directly affect the quality of our sleep at night. One of the most common causes in older adults is the urge to urinate in the middle of the night. As you age, your bladder's ability to hold urine decreases. Its capacity shrinks, and its control mechanisms become more sensitive. You may not notice the need to urinate during the day, but at night, when there's no noise, no light, and no distractions, your bladder's signals become as clear as a knock on the door in the quiet of the night. Another factor is physical aches and pains. Your spine, knees, wrists, neck, and shoulders. All of these once flexible areas can now become painful points when you lie in one position for too long. At first, it may just be a vague discomfort, but if you don't change positions or don't have the right support, it will gradually build up and wake you up from deep sleep. Medications can also play a role. Older adults often take multiple medications to control blood pressure, heart disease, diabetes, or chronic pain. Some medications, even if you take them as prescribed, have side effects such as nocturia, increased heart rate, changes in body temperature, dry mouth, or making sleep lighter. What's more, you may not realize the connection between your medication and your sleepless nights, because the side effects don't come as an immediate pain, but creep into the quality of your sleep every night. Mrs. Thu, 76, used to think her insomnia was due to old age, but after a routine checkup, her doctor discovered that the diuretic she was taking at night was causing her to wake up frequently to use the bathroom. By simply changing the time she took her medication, switching to the morning, combined with eating dinner earlier and not drinking too much water after 7 p.m., she was able to significantly improve her sleep. In addition, factors such as reflux of stomach acid, mild hypoglycemia in the middle of the night, especially if dinner is too early or not nutritious enough, or changes in room temperature, can also cause the body to send a wake-up signal. You don't need to feel pain to wake up. Sometimes just a small change in your environment or internal organs can be enough to disrupt your sleep. It's important not to view these awakenings as something to be feared. They don't mean that your body is broken or deteriorate. On the contrary, they show that your body is still working, still sensing, still reacting, still trying to signal to you that something needs to be adjusted. Instead of trying to force yourself back to sleep and discomfort, ask yourself, what is my body trying to tell me? It could be a small change in your eating habits. It could be a need to adjust the timing of your medication, or simply changing your pillow, opening a window to let in some fresh air. Sleep, especially after age 60, is not just a state of rest, but also a map for you to listen to your body more clearly. And sometimes, a 3 a.m. wake-up call is not an interruption, but a door to deeper self-understanding and self-care. Not all nighttime awakenings are due to hormones, biological rhythms, or physical discomfort. There are times when you wake up without pain, without the need to urinate, without being bothered by light, but you still open your eyes, unconsciously awake, with a series of nameless thoughts. That is when your mind is whispering. As you enter old age, the pace of life slows down. The worries of youth have receded. Work is no longer the center. Social relationships are less frequent. And the space in your soul gradually expands. It is in that silence that emotions that were once brushed aside, sadness that has not been faced, memories that have not been closed, questions that have not been answered, begin to appear more clearly, especially during the quietest time of the day. Unlike the urgent worries of youth, the old mind is not in a hurry. It quietly turns, quietly reminds, like an underground stream. You can lie there thinking about old friends you no longer keep in touch with, unfinished conversations, or simply some small, nameless regret. The mind doesn't need much of a reason to open its memory door. Just a big enough pause, and it will come. Gloria, 80, lost her husband 5 years ago. During the day, she was busy enough, tending the garden, calling her children and grandchildren, watching her favorite shows, but every morning around 3 a.m., she woke up, not physically, but her mind took her back to the evenings, when she and her husband sat together in silence, with soft laughter, with an unnameable absence. At first, she was confused and thought it was insomnia, but gradually, she realized this wasn't an illness, it was an invitation, a moment to reconnect with herself. Instead of trying to resist those feelings, Gloria began to let her mind speak. She keeps a notebook by her bed, and every time she wakes up, she writes a few lines. It doesn't have to be formal. It doesn't have to be literary. Just, missing you today, hearing the clock ticking like old times, or I feel lonely, but also peaceful. Writing is a way to release, a gentle form of inner dialogue, and also a way to help yourself return to a more gentle sleep. Not with drugs, but with acceptance. Waking up at 3 a.m., in many cases, is a message from your inner self. It's not here to bother you, it's here to be heard. In a world where everything is so loud, perhaps only at 3 a.m., when everything stops, do you have enough space to really touch on the things you've been avoiding for so long? And if you allow yourself to listen, instead of resisting, you'll realize that those moments are not only emotional, but also intellectual, a form of silent wisdom, accumulated over the years, through loss, through maturity. That wisdom does not need to be healed, it just needs to be acknowledged. So if you wake up at 3 a.m., don't panic, think of it as an appointment with yourself, a rare opportunity to sit with your mind, listen to the unsaid, touch the unnamed emotion, because sometimes it is the moments that seem sleepless that are the moments when you are awakening, in the most profound and humane way. Now that you have a better understanding of the reasons why you wake up at 3 a.m., you may have realized something important. It is not a physical flaw, nor is it a sign that you are weakening or that your sleep is broken. On the contrary, each awakening, whether due to hormonal changes, a shift in your biological clock, a dull ache, or simply a lingering feeling of longing, is a vivid signal that your body and mind are still working, still very much awake and connected to your inner life. We often think of sleep as a completely straight line, from night to morning. But in reality, sleep, especially after the age of 60, is like a river. Some parts flow smoothly, some parts break. And it is these pauses, if we know how to look at them with a kind eye, that are opportunities to understand ourselves more deeply. You don't need to fix yourself, you just need to understand yourself better. A middle of the night wake-up call can be a time to make a small habit change. Dim the lights, eat dinner on time, move up the time you take your medication. It can also be a time to start a new habit. Write in a journal, listen to soft music, breathe in silence. These are simple yet profound ways to listen to yourself. And most importantly, you are not alone. There are millions of people lying there at 3 a.m., eyes open in the dark, wondering the same thing you did. But as you begin to understand the inner workings of your inner self, that loneliness gives way to a different feeling, a sense of presence, connection, and control over yourself. Sleep becomes less of a battle to win and more of a journey you can take, gently and mindfully. So next time you open your eyes at 3 a.m., remember, it may not be time to go back to sleep. It is time to ask yourself a simple but profound question. What do my body and mind need? And if you can answer that question, even partially, then perhaps you have found the most important thing, inner peace, in the quietest moment of the night.